you gorgeous people, and welcome to the EV Café News. It's 10 o'clock, and it's brought to you this week by EV Civil Solutions, experts in low-carbon concrete EV infrastructure installations. Sarah, we can hear you, darling. Welcome to the show. Today, I'm joined by Sarah and all her background noise, Sam and his pinkness, and Paul with strangeness. Anyway, grab a cuppa, plug in for the latest in clean transport and sustainability news, because today we'll be talking, of course, about GridServe raising over $500 million in loan finance, NEO going further and getting in a solid state. EV charger numbers are up, but it's not just a numbers game, as Sam often tells us. UK government will be proportionate and pragmatic on the 2030 petrol and diesel ban. And the EU Council is improving charging through legislation. Now, there was a bit of a rant yesterday from me about the ship that's on fire, or was on fire, in Dutch waters with 3,000 cars on it, 25 electric, and the conclusion being reached that it started in an electric car. Probably. Well, let's wait until we get some facts, shall we? We like facts on the EV Cafe, don't we, chaps?
Oh, yes.
Yes, indeedy. Right, let's start with some facts. GridServe Sustainable Energy Limited has just announced the largest debt raise to date globally for a privately owned charge point operator, demonstrating the market's confidence in both the transition to electric mobility and the company's mission to help deliver net zero transport at speed and scale. And all of that despite the UK popular press's negative narrative of late. Toddington Harper, personal friend of Sam Clark and CEO of GridServe, said to secure the largest debt raise globally for a privately owned charge point operator is a remarkable endorsement of GridServe's electric vehicle charging network, our sun to wheel strategy, our fantastic team and our future expansion plans. This financing, which was a hugely popular transaction among banks attracting overwhelming marketing demand, will accelerate our delivery, providing customers further confidence to go electric and fully charge GridServe's mission to move the needle on climate change, precisely at the time when urgent action is so critically required. It's 326 million in committed loan facilities, a further 200 million of uncommitted accordion facility. I like this, I don't know what it is, but it sounds good. And it will allow for further supercharging hubs, the electric forecourts, as well as infrastructure, including operational solar and battery projects, which will enable GridServe to accelerate the upgrade and expansion of its UK network. Projected to include the installation of more than 500 new electric super hubs nationwide, the growth will deliver more than 3,000 new high-power charge points with class-leading speeds of up to 350 kilowatts, capable of providing 100 miles of charge in only 5 minutes. My froth levels are so high, I can't even begin to tell you. Sam, any thoughts?
I think you kind of said it all, really. I think in terms of the summary, which has obviously come from the press release we sent out this week. So it's it's a big number. It's a lot of money, but also it's going to be pushed in the right places in regards to continuing to just constantly raise the bar in terms of charging infrastructure in this country. So yeah, it's an incredible thing. You mentioned Todd. He is very much a very good friend of mine. He's someone I've known 20 years. He's also my boss. He's also a visionary. He's also slightly bonkers, but we love him for it. And it wouldn't be without him at the helm that these things would be achieved. So, him and his brother Heston and everyone at GridServe are all a little bit unhinged, I think, but in a very passionate way to delivering a change and moving that needle on climate change. So we've certainly made some waves this week with these sort of numbers. We've got the attention of governments as well in terms of, there really is commercial private money available. So yeah, it's raised lots of eyebrows for lots of good reasons, and hopefully we can crack on from here. And by no means this is the end. This is just, we always say this, but it's just the beginning. We've got a lot more to do in a lot more places. So, but yeah, it's good news. Good news all around. Obviously, I'd say that.
Any cheeky little insights as to what that might mean?
Absolutely not. No.
Worth a try. There we go. Thank you, Sam. Brilliant job. And as you say, I've watched Toddington and Heston in action, and the speed of their minds, the direction that they take, and the vision that they show. is now being turned into hard concrete, into brilliant infrastructure, into great ways of charging your electric vehicle. Thank you for changing our world.
I'm sure if we could move on from hard concrete, that would be good, wouldn't it? That would reduce the emissions significantly.
Well, it's funny you mention that, Paul, because EV Civil Solutions, our sponsor, do have a new concrete product which is now only 8% carbon. So massively reduced carbon within concrete, and it's just literally being developed this week.
Can I just ask one little thing? I laud this story tremendously. I think it's wonderful.
If he mentions vans, I'm going to go.
No. I just wonder why we finish on something that is impossible and something that people will pick up on. So we cannot currently charge a car in 5 minutes with a 350 kilowatt charger because no vehicle can accept that charge. Just take that stat out. We're misleading with WLTP numbers. Just don't let people like me get all uptight about that. 5 minutes, 350. What's the point?
The point is very important, and that is what we're capable of delivering in the next 12 months. So people need to understand where we're going as an industry and the capabilities that the vehicles are going to be able to deliver.
If one comes available in 12 months,
and that's the point. That's the point, Paul. I think what this does is it gives an indication to the automotive sector that the charging capacity is there. And we speak about a story next from NIO, where we start to look at solid-state batteries, and giving that certainty of charging speed will mean that we can fully utilise new technologies as they come on board. So thank you for setting up the next story. Well done.
You told me to do that. I thought I would.
5 is in the post. Now then, let's say hello to a few people. Paul O'Brien, thank you for joining us. Ashley Bannister, here every week. Jamie Fretwell, Mercedes Trucks, love you, my man. Bob Murphy, greetings. I hope your Kia Soul is going well. Kevin Booker, 3 times Guinness World Record holder for being able to drive very, very slowly and make every ion go further. Claire Leclerc from Swarco, greetings. Sarah Gray from Revis. Marvin Samuels, you said you'd be here, and goodness gracious you are. Pam Hanlon from Power, I got the power. And so we've got Laura Hustwick Wilkes as well. She's from Power. Steve Hamer from Shell, greetings to you, sir. Michael Anderson, Ron Godfrey, goodness gracious. Dan Lawrence Eyre, I think that's the poshest name of the day so far. Mike Fisher, Ian Kerr, Michael McLeod, also from Swarco. Goodness, they're all on. Sam Grantham is in the house from GridServe. Love that man. If you ever meet Sam, give him a big hug and squeeze.
He's not from GridServe. Is he?
Where's he? Oh, dear.
Oh, that's Sam. He is.
That's Sam. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I know all my people.
I thought it was the Falkland Sam. What's Falkland Sam?
Cockwell.
Sorry, Sam Grantham, you're going to kill me for that. I'm really sorry.
He's going to be dining out on that for a long time.
I'm in so much trouble.
Neil Riddell from Power, Scott Bradley, hello. Ramin Mohammadi, Martin Sweeney from MHA, Brent Oldfield, Neil Ponting, good golly gosh, Paul Nelson, Janet Yo, Jordan Marsden. The names are in... Wow. Everybody, Rob Dustin, thank you all so much for taking time out. Keith Woodcock, hello me old Woodcock. Just lovely to see you all, and we genuinely give you a shout out because you're taking your time to do this, so thanks ever so much. Now then, we talked about NIO and solid-state batteries. Let's go with that story. NIO's introduction of the 150 kilowatt-hour solid-state battery pack marks a transformative milestone for its vehicles, delivering an extended range and enhanced energy density. This groundbreaking technology, supplied by WeLion, will make its debut in the upcoming ES6 SUV, allowing customers in China initially to opt for this high energy pack as early as this month. Paul is typing, but ignore him. While initially advertised to offer an impressive range of 620 miles on a single charge, the current range stands at around 578 miles. Not too shabby. Despite facing delays and uncertainties, NIO has made the decision to integrate solid-state batteries into its EV lineup. It's pretty impressive, you know. If you look at some of the numbers, NIO's existing 100 kilowatt hour lithium ion pack solid state generates, it's got a weight of 575 kilos, but its energy density, and this is the key bit, is 261 watt hours per kilowatt, which easily surpasses lithium ion's pack of 180 watt hours per kilogram. So you've got about a 50% uplift in terms of the energy density that these things can achieve. There is also a lower fire risk, and the fire risk for EVs is already 24 times less than petrol, so stop your nonsense. Plus, you get faster charging times and less degradation over time. Solid state batteries is the way forward. Paul, do you think we'll see them in commercial vehicles anytime soon?
Well, do you know what? The thing is, we've got to get there for the commercial vehicle sector, because we need more energy in lighter vehicles to stop us going over the 3.5 tons, to maximize availability across as many users as possible. So time to charge is critical. The weight is critical. The challenge will always be cost, because we cannot afford to take a massive hike in cost, which I've no doubt solid state batteries in the shorter term will be quite expensive. So it'll be interesting to see, and put them in lots and lots of cars so we get some volume up, and then we can get the scale that would then lead to the price. So that would be good news for the commercial vehicle sector.
Cheers, buddy, and a big shout out to Sarah, who's actually working the chat function here. We haven't gone to her yet live because, one, she's on a train, and two, the background noise is hideous. Foreground noise isn't much better, but there we are.
Very stern look. Very stern look. She might have gone frozen.
Yeah. A few more hellos. Tony Walker, Tim Morris from Europe Car. Hello, Mark Henderson, Ashley Etchells, loving your work. Graham Warnell. Marvin Samuels makes an interesting point. Solid-state batteries will allow us to have smaller, lighter EVs. Happy days, I think. So personal mobility is a way that we may use solid-state batteries. Great. Sarah, are you there?
Yes.
Just loving your work, darling. Just loving your work.
Toyota say that they are producing batteries which will be half the weight and half the price. So money where their mouth is, hopefully.
Let's wait and see. Toyota always have a surprise up their sleeves.
Oh, don't they? Don't they just?
Love a self-charging hybrid. Anyway, let's go on to the next story. As of the 1st of July 2023, there were 44,000 public electric vehicle charging devices installed in the UK, with 19% rated rapid or above and 57% rated fast. The total number of installed devices increased by 10% compared with April, and rapid charging or above devices were up 11% for that period, and that's clearly where the focus is, and with GridServe's news, that's probably where the focus is likely to remain. The figures showed a growth in public charging devices across the UK, with the number of installed public devices up by 12,000, a 38% increase since the 1st of July 2022. 38% increase, over a third more chargers in a year. And we found that on the EV rally when we were going around from Cardiff to London, London to Edinburgh, Edinburgh to Belfast, and Belfast to Dublin. London and Scotland have the highest level of charging provision per 100,000 of population, with 152 and 73 devices per 100,000 respectively. And the UK position is 66 per 100,000. Now, Sam, what is really important about these numbers is it's not just a numbers game, it's about having the right charger in the right place.
At the right time. Yes, indeed it is. We do need to be very careful about these numbers and make sure that we're articulating things as an industry as coherently as possible to make people understand what these numbers mean. Because the per capita number, again, can be very misleading depending on the type of chargers and the use case for those chargers. Without going into drilling into the detail, it's obviously not only important about the numbers, but also about the reliability of these chargers. Which I'm pleased to say, GridServe was currently voted the most reliable network. And I found out just an hour ago we had single-digit numbers of chargers out of order across the entire country as of yesterday, which is absolutely phenomenal. So both us and everybody else need to keep the reliability going up, as well as the quantum of chargers and then the type thereof. And also this terminology about rapid and fast also makes me wince every time. We need to talk about power, not about superlatives that people don't understand. We might understand it, but the other 98% of drivers won't. So we've got to get messaging across about kilowatts and power so that people understand it.
So let's take just a moment to do that, Sam. So in terms of the various slow, fast, rapid and ultra rapid, what does that mean in terms of kilowatt hours for people?
So the government has set regulations or delineation of categorization, and I hope I get this right, but I think it's up to 7 kilowatts is low power, and then we've got 7 to 22, which is medium power, I believe, and then up to 150 kilowatts is high power, and then I think, or maybe 100, and then beyond that is very high power. So it's
Is that for you, Sam? Is that for GridServe?
No, that's for everybody. That's for everybody in terms of an attempt at trying to standardize definitions within the industry.
Haven't we got on the standard definitions slow, fast, rapid, and ultra rapid?
Well, they're not standards. That's just what we've come to know in terms of the way in which they've been described historically.
Right.
But there's an effort now, and we're working.
Oh, okay. These are new terms.
Yeah, to try. Okay. Yes, exactly. To try and both. What we did as a group with government as well is we recognised that kilowatts was the key number, but people still like a descriptor. So we're trying to come up with a logic that applies some degree of actual real descriptor that means something, and high power or low power it does that, but twin it with a number so people understand that 7 is the sort of rate you get at home, and 350 is the sort of thing you get if you go to GridServe on the highway, for example.
Couple of things come in on the chat. Alex Pickworth says, "Kiss. Keep it simple, Sam."
Simple, stupid. Or stupid, well, Sam, stupid.
Yeah. Kiss with 3 S's. And Steve Hamer says, "Apparently, I'm on a GridServe medium speed charger right now." Thank you, Steve. Bless you for that live update, live from your little plug. Now then, concern has arisen about the potential rollback of the current phase-out of petrol and diesel vehicles from 2030 after the Prime Minister failed to confirm it will go ahead as planned. The news follows by-election results last week, which saw Labour lose to the Conservatives in the former Prime Minister Boris Johnson's seat of Uxbridge and South Ruislip, with some stating that Labour Mayor of London Sadiq Khan's plans for an ultra-low emission zone in the area were to blame for the defeat. It's not that they're just pants, is it? No. Anyway, as a result, both Labour leader Keir Starmer and Prime Minister Rishi Sunak have been put under pressure by national media and politicians to spell out their green transport strategies and a reappraisal of their policies. Craig McKinley MP has called on Sunak to delay the ban until at least 2035, and former Brexit negotiator Lord Frost said green policies were very unpopular due to their direct cost and called for a reassessment of the 2030 deadline. However, according to the Telegraph, Sunak has said, and you should always listen to the Daily Telegraph, Sunak has said he wanted to tackle the climate crisis, here we go, in a proportionate and pragmatic way. And when questioned on the zero-emission vehicle mandate, appeared not to directly show commitment to the date. But a later statement from the Prime Minister's official spokesperson said that the ICE ban remains our commitment, but also reiterated that it wanted to ensure that this approach is proportionate and pragmatic and doesn't unfairly impact the public. What on earth do you make of that, Paul?
Well, it gets me cross because what we did was give certainty to the market in 2020, I think, November 2020, when Boris put out the Green 10-point plan. He said 2030, there's the ban, clarity. The ZEV mandate gives clarity for manufacturers and OEMs that are producing the vehicles. They've got clear deadlines, clear numbers to meet year on year. Now we bring doubt into it and everybody says, oh, right, great. But we hear, so the BBC are maybe not the most positive about electric vehicles, right? But they are absolutely talking about climate change and the climate crisis, so much so that people are complaining that they are driving hysteria. So we have got a very serious situation. What we need is clarity. We need to hold the line and stick to it and stop talking stupid nonsense about changing dates to give people... Clearly I'm ranting. It gets my goat. Just stick with it. There's nothing wrong with it. Get on with it. Put it in law. Make it legislation. Do it and do it now.
It's not just your goat that's got. Liz Allen, bless her, says, why don't they all stick to what they promised in the first place?
Exactly.
Plonkers.
Plonkers. Absolutely.
Sarah, are you frothing?
She's going to say plonkers.
I'll say plonkers. It's just not that simple. I mean, we always watch these deadlines shift, and there's going to be bigger fish to fry about it. It's probably keeping up with an economic race at the same time. I just don't ever feel surprised anymore. And that's the worked in local government so long, which is of course spurred on by central government decisions every time. But I just hope there'll be a compromise. I hope it becomes 2032 like the last time it shifted by 10 years. But we'll see. We'll see.
But so I think there's a possibility, right, that vans are more difficult, and if you're going to move anything, move that by 2 years, but don't just go, 2035 we'll do it all like that. It just doesn't make sense. Stick with it. They've got the possibility
It's
of
exactly
hybrids.
what you just said.
Yeah.
Well, there was
sat on this train listening to people talk about the news, so that people on this train who have chosen to travel sustainably are cross about the news. So they're saying, I heard Richie Sunak said this, and I heard this, and sometimes being amongst the public and listening to their opinion is quite eye-opening. But in my work world, I think we all thought that it probably wouldn't.
Sam, do you ever mix with the public?
2030.
Of course I do. Of course I do, yeah.
He's forced to regularly.
I take great pleasure in doing it, to be honest, whenever I go to one of our charges. But we've got to get a decision to these things, don't we? I mean, Michael Gove said on, I saw in a Top Gear article recently, you need to mute Sarah. He said on Times Radio that the ban was immovable. So if that's the case, then great. But what is it? Is it or is it not immovable? Or we have an immovable object and an unstoppable force? Like what? We just
legally speaking, it's not in legislation yet. Neither is the ZEV mandate. They're both still waiting on law. 2035 is in law, so 2035 is the hard stop up to 26 tons. But we can't do it all in one go. So let's do it proportionately, like we've suggested, so that we get each step on the way. So cars typically have gone first and are doing really well. Vans, are moving, and then trucks is going to be bigger, and that needs to 2035. So
yeah, and as Sam Grantham from GridServe, who very rightly says, we do think there is. Do we think there's lots of FUD around what the deadline actually means for consumers? And yes, of course, because the government's giving us no favours at all, doing us no favours rather, in terms of this confusion around is it going to be law or not? And Paul will probably echo this as well. Then there's a lot of commercial fleets that have a cycle, and they have to work out exactly what that cycle is going to be relative to any potential legislative changes in 4 or 5 years' time matters to them right now. So if things are going to change in 4 or 5 years' time, then that puts them completely into uncertainty and doubt as to what they're going to do. Yeah. And that also needs to be highlighted. It's not about necessarily something that's happened in 7 years' time, but it's about the planning that has to go into huge amounts of commercial fleets across the UK that have to plan for a date. Yeah. You move it, you change everyone's plans.
Exactly. And also the clean air zones and things like that don't demand electric vehicles. They demand an emissions standard, which is to protect the health of the people within those zones. We all know about Ella and Ella's law coming to pass. It was asthma that killed her, prompted by air quality locally. Those are the things that we're changing with these rules. We're not bringing in zero emission vehicles. We're bringing Euro 6 as a minimum from a diesel perspective into those zones. So look, leave the bans because they're fine. They're not going to be impacted by these different decisions.
And finally, just to bring a little more clarity to this, Scott Bradley is completely right. This is not a ban on new petrol and diesel cars. What this is a ban on petrol and diesel only. Vehicles will be, as a minimum, required to have a significant distance available to be undertaken electrically. We believe it to be around 70 miles, but we don't know yet. What we need is certainty, business-like certainty. The country needs certainty. Get off your hands, give us certainty. It's not difficult. Whilst we've been wittering on, the clock has continued to run, and I've got one last story, which is that Europe have mandated that they will be putting in fast chargers, 150 kilowatt chargers every 37 miles across the EU's trans-European transport network. We don't need those legislation movements. We've got GridServe. Thank you kindly. Bless you. Anyway.
And others.
Yeah.
And
what? Yeah, indeed, there are many, many other charge point operators, but nobody's investing the amount that GridServe is right now. So good work. Yeah, if you've got any clean transport PR or news stories you'd like us to cover, then send them to us at hello@evcafe.org. Any final thoughts, Paul?
Yeah, my goat's got, and it is worrying, this whole 2030 talk. it's something that will drive my mindset for the next months, certainly, just to try and make enough noise. I mean, it's hard, isn't it, to influence at government level. Let's all, kind of put proportionate and pragmatic proposals forward that say, keep 2030, you muppets.
Sarah, is your jumper made out of Paul's goat?
I think it might be. It's very nice. I just don't want people to lose faith. There's tenders coming out all the time for local authorities to put in the AC side of things, which does suit lots of people as much as the higher powered stuff. So congrats again to GridServe and all the other CPOs, charge point operators, who are actually rolling out infrastructure faster than I could ever imagine. Just here to support it.
Thank you, Sarah. And Sam, finally, your thoughts?
Back to his suave self, apparently.
Just to say thanks to Sam Grantham for dialing in today. I can't say Sam Grantham's name enough from GridServe. So thank you very much, Sam, for attending, and I hope that by mentioning you many, many times, Sam Grantham, that you'll forgive me for getting your name mixed up with somebody else. But other than that, have a lovely weekend, everybody.
Until next Friday, it's goodbye from me, it's goodbye from them. This has been an EV Cafe production brought to you this week by EV Civil Solutions, minimising the carbon impact of EV installations. Other sustainability news services are available, but this is just funner! The EV Cafe is...
Well done, Sarah, for doing that on a train.
The EV Cafe is truly blessed to be partnered with Geotab, EV Civil Solutions, the AA, Churchill Insurance, Plug Me In, Spiri, Hydrock, Interval, Kersha, and McIntyre Hudson. We are the EV Cafe, supporting the transition to clean transport. Enjoy the rest of your day and your weekend, you lovely people. Until next Friday, bye!
Bye.
Where's the goat?
Goat.